let me speak on this right quick because this has continued to be a problem. Justine Jackson, who frequents my page, she wrote Kevin Samuels told average at best woman who was making six figures to settle for a man who earned an average income. He encouraged her to date down financially or to stop seeking her financial equal or superior. And I responded to that and I wrote a comment, but now I'm going to make a video because this is one of the issues that I have with Kevin. This is one of the issues I have with mediocre tutorials and a handful of other brothers that try to come online and try to claim that, they're these solid black men, but then low key advocate for role reversal and dustiness. Okay. I do not subscribe or advocate for role reversal or dustiness. There's a point where, and see, this is the problem, with all these people that are on here making money off of YouTube and all this other shit, because they always think that they got to have an answer for some shit. You know what I mean? They always think that they got to be the infinite wisdom. Ironically, my last channel's name, right? They always think that they got to be the infinite wisdom, on making sure that they always have an answer like they're God. And they don't even realize that what they advocate for or what they're saying is contradictory or disrupting their own audience and base and followers. I've seen mediocre tutorials do this a number of times to where, okay, we get into, and black men need to make more money and we should be working together. And there is some validity to, some of the stuff that the sisters are saying about brothers not having their shit together, right? If I exclude all the women that really secretly want to run shit or have black men in a position where they're basically, employees or worker bees or drones or concu-serfs or whatever the hell it is. I'm saying the fact of the matter is all this shit with street culture, hip hop culture, that niggas are gonna, be thugs for life and all this bullshit, okay, has not helped us. We can talk about the media and how it's been promoted and how, there's Jewish people at the record labels and white people running the shit, we could talk about all that. But I'm saying at the end of the day, okay, that shit was going nowhere fast. Okay, you're not controlling the means of production. You're not working together. You're not networking. You don't control the economic landscape. Okay, that's going to lead to, you having issues with your women because your women are no longer dependent on you for your survival as a collective of men. Okay, now moving past all of that, I'm saying, that's a positive conversation to have about where brothers need to be and encourage brothers, to be here and there or do better or if they find themselves stuck or they're not making enough money, it's like, hey man, we gotta push, beyond that. We gotta push further than that. You're never gonna make, the high value money, seriously speaking, you're never gonna make millions working for somebody else. That's never gonna happen. If you work for somebody else, if you have a job, aside from being, a doctor or I'm trying to think something else, sales or something like that, as a rule, you're going to get capped out at 250. As a rule, you're going to get capped out at 250, maybe 300. Doctors can go past that. Some salespeople can go past that. But seriously speaking, unless you own your own company, you ain't cracking past $1 million. Nobody is going to pay you that much. I don't care what your profession is. Okay, they might give you you might join a company and be the vice president and they give you some stock options or some shit. That's where you might make some money, or you got a severance package or some shit like that if you get that high up there or something like that. But nobody's gonna pay you that much money, right? So we need to understand, when we're talking about, high value and everything. But again, encouraging men to go beyond some of these basic menial type of jobs, right? I fully support that. I fully support that. I think there's been a lot of men and women who have convinced men and men who have convinced themselves that it's okay for them to be, where they're at, or men who have convinced women that it's okay for them to be where they're at and they're not in a position of power. And so what you end up with is you get these guys, there's a lot of, like, first off, there's a lot of black men that come on that are, even subscribers of mine, that they don't have, like, in other words, they've always had a problem getting women, let alone black women. They've always had a problem. So they come on here and they got a whole bunch of anger and they got a whole bunch of hate towards women because they were never able to get them, because they never were in the position and all this other shit. And then you have other brothers that, like myself, go out there and you can get them, but when it comes down to getting them to cooperate, or getting them to what the word, to follow and all that other shit, getting them to play their role, you would see the nastiness, you would see that. And truth be told, if I really break down who I've been with, I wasn't dealing with sisters. I was dealing with non-black women, and I was dealing with black women who were abroad. I've only dealt with 2 African American women. If I go through the Rolodex and I think about all the women I mess with, I've only messed with 2 that were actually African American. Everybody else, Ghana, Jamaica, Nigeria, where else? Sudan. What other country? Can't think off the top of my head. I mean, she was African, but she was from Europe. I forget what country she was from. But anyway, like, that was me. You know what I mean? So when people talk about, oh, why don't you go over to, some other black country where they don't have this African American mindset? Been there, done that. And don't get it twisted. There are some problems with that, because a few of them, they do look down on African Americans. They do look down. I've definitely had things said like, oh, well, I know how you African Americans do. Like, bitch, you know what I'm saying? Had a Nigerian say that shit. I know how you African. What the fuck is that supposed to mean? You see what I'm saying? So again, attracted to me, all that shit. But if it came down to marriage, like, I gotta fit into her circles. I gotta be able to do the Afro dance steps and shit like that, and acclimate to her culture, because she is a part of a group that she values and respects. Again, I was just a little plaything. If I really go back and I'm honest and I look at it. But anyway, I'm getting way off topic. The point that I'm making is Mediocre Tutorials and Kevin, would go up there, and any woman that they deemed unattractive or less attractive or whatever. And Kevin really has some nerve, because Kevin only started making money when he started making his YouTube channel. Kevin, there's video evidence, there's everything else. There's receipts, from him paying child support, you know what I mean? Where the woman that he had a child with, the woman he had his daughter with, was making more money than he was. So he has some nerve, coming out saying what, he was saying. And we could talk about everything else, because everything else that he, said was largely borrowed, from other people. He just packaged it differently and set it up to where, he was getting hits on the YouTube algorithms. But he had some serious holes in his shit where he would advocate for matriarchy by sitting there and saying, oh, well, you're only average, so, you should go out there and you should date, and they just insert blue collar jobs. And that shit would be offensive to guys that were working blue collar jobs. Hell, some of the blue collar job guys are making 6 figures. But yet, again, this is another problem with black people. We diss titles more than we diss income. We have a really bad habit of doing that. Oh, what you do for a living? Just name some title. Oh, he's a garbage man, and motherfuckers just automatically dismiss. Oh, you pick up trash. Not understanding, the type of wages that garbage men make in cities like New York. So, Kevin would have a bad tendency to do that. Mediocre Tutorials does that. Guys would be like, oh, well, see, because I'm making money on YouTube and I paid off my $300,000 house in 3 years or whatever it is, well, I'm here and you're there. And it's the funny part is his audience is majority men who, in terms of income, are average at best. And they're going to mediocre tours. Yeah, these bitches are fucked up. Yeah, these bitches and this and that and the third. Yeah. And this motherfucker will sit up there and talk to a female and think that he's tearing them down. Like all, it's like they switch up and they suddenly think that their audience is nothing but a bunch of high value men. And that's not the reality. The majority of their audiences, Kevin and Mediocre Tutorial's audience, were regular average dudes. And then they get a chick that's up there. Oh, well, chick, you don't look that good. You know, you need to go down there and date a motherfucker that's a manager at Walmart. That's what you need to date, cause that's what your looks will get you, right? And you got to look at the reciprocal of that. You know, it's like, oh man, hey brother, you only make $60,000, which is $20,000 more than the average income, but you know, you don't deserve a bad bitch. And quiet, and see, this is where you get into the elitism, because quiet as is kept. There's a lot of men who are high value, who make money. They literally think that they should get all the bad bitches, and that you should just get average because you ain't got the. It just kind of excludes all the other criteria, you know, all the other stuff. I don't really say criteria, but all the other stuff like, you know, game, swag, charisma, all that shit. You know what I'm saying? And this is you know, where people get shit twisted. And this is what even goes on just when other races look at black men and they compare black men. They're like, why is this good looking chick fucking with a black man? You know what I mean? Because he has personality. He has other things going on with himself, and why she wants to be around him, like game. You know what I mean? And he can dance, whatever the hell it may be. You know what I mean? He's fun, he's entertaining, and you just get a guy that's just standing there and he has no personality, but he's got a big bank account because he's a day trader or some shit like that. And then wondering why, you know, oh, how come I don't have a bad bitch like that? Because you don't have the other skills. It's like you made a Madden character and then you just stack the bars all the way up in speed, and you got no power and you got no stamina. All you got is fucking speed. So all you can do is quick burst. You can run, nobody can catch you in the first, 20 yards, and then all of a sudden you run out of steam and then you get tackled. You know what I'm saying? Like literally that's how these guys make their Madden characters. They just all speed, all power. You know what I'm saying? And nothing else. You know, can't catch the ball, can't pass the ball, just speed. You know what I mean? And they think that is going to, being one dimensional is going to go out here and attract women. Being one dimensional does not. I can't express that enough. You know what I mean? But the reciprocal is saying, oh, well, you guys only make X amount of dollars, so you only deserve ugly women and fat women. And see, if you go out there and you're putting that out there, dudes ain't trying to hear that shit. They will take their measly $60,000 and $75,000, their dusty money, and they will go, and yes, is it exploitative? Yeah, sure it is. They'll go to some other country. You know what I mean? Because nobody wants a woman that they're not attracted to. They just don't. Just the same with women, whatever women's criteria is. They don't want a man that doesn't have any value or isn't good looking and none of this shit. They don't want any of that shit. You know what I mean? So the men are grabbing their passports and they're like, I'm the fuck out. If in order to have a decent looking chick in the African American community is, I gotta make fucking well over six figures. You know what I mean? Like, you motherfuckers sitting at $95,000 and it's like, oh, you're cut off. Nope, you don't make the cut. Now you must get a fat bitch. You get a bitch like Precious. You know what I mean? Motherfuckers gonna be like, fuck that. I'm going to DR. I'm going to, some other country. I'm going to Puerto Rico. I'm going to Brazil. I'm going to I'm going to Colombia. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to Ghana. I'm going to Nigeria. I'm going somewhere else. I'm going to Jamaica. I'm going somewhere else to pull something. I'm going to Sweden. I'm going to freaking Japan. They're going somewhere else where the requirements are not as stringent. And you can say that's whatever. Oh man, that's exploitative, and you're just trying to get over on women from third world countries or women from countries that have some other issues. Like Japan's got money, but they got their birth rate is in the toilet. Korea's got money, but their birth rate is in the toilet. I don't know what's going on over there. You know what I mean? But you get some black man drop his ass off who's sexually aggressive and is like hollering and shit like, hey, he might be able to pull something. Chances are he's going to get a rebel from those groups because they're fucking with him. But hey, if it's better than what he's able to get over here in the States, or what people are saying he only deserves, fuck it. Fuck it. You know, I mean, the sexual markets are not a team sport. It is not a team sport. You know what I'm saying? Like, and when you don't have a community that functions, and there is no group benefit to the group, you know what I'm saying? You can't, people are not going to be genetically beholden to the group when the group doesn't function as a unit or organism to be able to facilitate genetic survival. Because the black community right now does not facilitate genetic survival. It simply does not. And so stepping outside the community versus staying in the community has no greater benefit than stepping out of the community. See, this is the whole problem when you don't control the economic landscape, you don't have infrastructure, and there's no group economics going on. And this is why you see, a lot of exodus going on. Sisters got a whole different set of problems when it comes to why they can't go out. You got the women wanting employees for husbands and matriarchy and role reversal. And, they think they're going to be able to run around and shame black men into playing a subordinate role by screaming about melanin and original woman status and divine female principles. Like, that ain't happening. So they got a whole different set of reasons why they can't navigate like as they so think. The women that have been swirling and been able to swirl, okay, they've been doing it. They don't have to announce it to the world that, oh, I'm going to go do this. That they've been doing it. And not only that, they also meet the universal standards and the criterias of what they need to be in order to attract other men. Because there are universal concepts. Universally feminine. You know what I'm saying? Universally fit. Universally pleasant to be around. Universally cooperative. Universally submit. These are the things that men like and appreciate about women. There's plenty of men out here that got all different type of taste. There's plenty of white men out here that will look at black women. There's plenty of other races of men that will look at black women. But you can't come with that African American shit. If you come with that African American shit, you're going to lose. That's what brothers have been saying. It's like, we're not talking crazy. No, ain't nobody else buying what you selling either. But hey, you can't tell these women that shit. They self-hate. That's what it is. Self-hate. Okay, chick. Well then, go out there and take your shit elsewhere. Since you feel that you can swirl because black men are so self-hating, and then they come to find out that they can't. But that whole advocating for matriarchy, telling women that they need to, share men like Umar Johnson used to do, that is bullshit. Again, some people just need to be alone. If you go out here and you can't find what you're looking for, and you want to, I'm not going to tell anybody to lower their standards. And that's really what it comes down to, telling people, well, you need to lower your standards. Yes, I do understand some women's, again, like that woman that called in Kevin's show, Kevin, my cookies is worth it. And she had 2 kids from a previous marriage. And I don't know if she had 2 kids by 2 different men. But anyway, in any event, it was like 2 kids. Bottom line, she was 30 and change, over 35, had 2 kids, was overweight, was from bumblefuck, Tennessee or some shit like that, was out in the rural countryside where high value men that make money or don't exist, don't live unless they, freaking a rapper or some shit like that. But that's not where the industry is. That's not where corporate America is. Corporate America are in the big cities. Okay. You can't be out there in the sticks trying to look for a dude in a suit when you out in the goddamn fields and shit. That ain't, I don't, so Kevin was 100% accurate on that. You know what I mean? But yeah, she was delusional, and my cookies is worth it. Thinking that, she's going to be abstinent and some dude is going to take her big ass country, inarticulate behind on with 2 fucking kids, and that she's going to go out here and be able to get a 6-figure dude that's going to waste his resources on raising a dude that she's not even with, as kids. Like, that's not going to happen. Okay, those women do need to be checked and brought back to fucking reality. But when you get a woman like this, like the woman that was doing she had a dog grooming company and she was making, over six figures. When you got a woman like that, hey, that's time to exit the room. Okay, that's time to exit the room and be like, hey, good luck. I hope you find what you're looking for, and just leave it at that. Don't sit there and tell, oh man, well, you see, I don't think you look that good, so you need to go down and you need to start dating, a bus driver. You need to start dating a nigga that is the cashier at Walmart, as they're slowly removing the cashiers of Walmart with these automated systems. Yeah, you need to go down there and date that, because that's what I feel your looks are worth, because, I'm now a high value man, thanks to YouTube. I'm now a high value man, and now I can just be reckless with my standards and talk about how, bitch, I don't think you look that good, and I only have bad bitches on my show. You see, like that's where Kevin fucked up past tense, and that's where mediocre tutorials continues to fuck up. And a bunch of other black men in the manosphere. Oh, well, you need to date, regular schmegular. And that's one of the things that pisses me off about black men, because it's like, notice how these women always talk about, I give black women credit. I don't agree with their matriarchal bullshit, but at least they're always talking about making money and being on the next level for all these boss bitches and everything else. I hear more black women talking like that. As delusional as some of them may be with it, at least they have the fucking fire under their ass and the burning desire in their soul, versus what I hear from a lot of black men, which is like, oh man, niggas can't have that. It's such a defeatist mindset. Niggas are always talking about what they can't have and how, well, she just needs to accept this. And, I want a bad bitch like the bitches that be on 50 Cent's arm, and she needs to come in my mom's basement and Netflix and chill. Niggas out here having all these broke ass fantasies, man. Again, I cannot sit up in here and pretend like, there aren't, and maybe, it's because of, the cultural shit, the you go girl, black girl magic and everything. We don't have anything like that for black boys, but that's for black men to set up. That's not for black women to set up. We should be spear tipping that shit. You know what I mean? It's like the way that they try to restructure the mentality of young black men when they go to these HBCUs and they go to Howard and Morehouse and shit like that, right? They try to restructure how they think. I'd rather see a bunch of arrogant black men that are about their money out here than hear all this defeatist, well, man, we can't be that. Meanwhile, the women are always talking about going to the moon and back and doing laps around the rings of Saturn. What the fuck is that shit? And unfortunately, because I guess we've had all these disparities with the way that we, advocate for girls but don't advocate for boys. Now we got dudes that, they're kind of stuck. Their college years are over. They're out here in the workforce and they're stuck. So they're just kind of like, oh, well, I'm here and I'm single and so I'm a good dude. I serve the Most High. I got the sweet twinkle of Jesus in my eye. So a woman should look at me and she should recognize how good of a man I am. And I'm like, but you don't have any resources, bro. Again, you may have manhood, but you got some pretty goddamn ineffective manhood. And I mean, what is she supposed to respect when she can do more for herself than you can do for her? It is about that. It is about that. You don't just get to come in the room swinging your phallus saying, well, the Bible says I get to lead. How the fuck are you going to run shit on her dime? How does that work? How are you going to manage resources that you've never made, nigga? How does that work? How do you get to just come into space and just do that? You know what I'm saying? Like how do you just gain access to her bank account to make moves? That's as arrogant as the women who will sit there and get with a high value man who actually has money and then start talking about how she just her presence alone can inspire him to new heights. Like she has this intrinsic, inspiring, aura that surrounds her body, and like, and so that's like the shit that they try to do with Barack Obama with fucking Michelle Obama, where sisters was like, yes, and it was Michelle Obama. She was already at the law firm when Barack Obama got the job, and it's like, this nigga came from fucking Harvard. What are you talking about? The nigga was already awesome. He was already on the trajectory. He was already on his goddamn. What are you talking about? Acting like she made Barack Obama because Michelle was already at the law firm when he got there. Like, because she walked through the door first, she's the reason why he made it to presidency. You know what I mean? Like just trying to claim everything. Like I understand Barack Obama's mixed. I'm just saying, just trying to claim like everything a black man does that's awesome is tied to a black woman. It's bullshit. It's bullshit. Like, they do not want to salute. They do not want to give the respect that is due. They just don't want to do it. They want to push it's the matriarchy and blah, blah. Like that 22-year-old told me, fucking almost 10 years ago, a black man can't do anything without the strength of a black woman. That bullshit. You know what I'm saying? You stand firm in fucking patriarchy. It's like 50 Cent. Get rich or die trying. Plain and simple. Get rich or die trying. And too many dudes, I mean the amount of weakness and the way that y'all verbalize this shit. You verbalize your broke ass fantasies. Y'all don't know when to shut the fuck up, and that's part of the problem out here, because this is the type of shit that would never have gone down, in the past. Where because unfortunately we've broken past a critical mass of dusties. You know what I'm saying? The dusty conversation has taken over. The brothers wouldn't have had this conversation back in the 1960s because there was jobs to go around. If you were in Detroit in 1960. You know what I'm saying? Like, the idea of you being unemployed and not being able to buy a home, there was no such thing. There was just no such thing, because the opportunities were there. And so a lot of brothers have adjusted to this. They're not being opportunities. Black women getting money from the welfare state. And then these ideas of, black women, because they're not a threat in corporate America, that they're able to get jobs and opportunities and resources that black men can't. You see, and so even black women have adjusted to that. And all of this is a fucking problem. This is why we have the matriarchal role reversed gynocracy problems that we have now. And the problem that I have, with a lot of brothers is especially like guys like BGSIB more. Again, we got into it before. The problem I have is what ends up happening. All of a sudden, and then it turns into some dusty talk. Now he want to talk about immigrants like we're some goddamn immigrants when we're not. Just wants to talk about women who are coming from third world countries being with a dude who's also from a third world country, and how he's a taxi driver and they're scraping by and everything. I'm like, you ain't gonna be able to sell that to again, African Americans who've been here as African Americans. You should be further along as African Americans being here than some immigrant that just showed up fucking yesterday and speaks broken English. Like, the fuck is wrong with you? You know what I mean? But this is what, these some of these, bigger voices on YouTube. I'm telling you, these are the reasons why I don't fuck people talk about, man, why don't you do a collabo with fucking, this person or that person, or how come you don't want to do this and do that? It's not just about, anonymity. It's also about the fact that, these motherfuckers have way too many holes in their shit. Way too many holes in their shit. You know what I'm saying? Dr. T. Hassan Johnson, I love Dr. T. Hassan Johnson. But again, he's had a couple of times where he starts kind of having that broke dusty talk. When he talked about brothers not having resources, they dropping out of college because their families and they don't have the resources. And I'm like, again, you can't get around the resources. Now I give Dr. T. Son Johnson credit, because when I left the comment over there, he did favorite the comment. I just don't understand why brothers can't see past, certain statements. I'm like, dude, it's about the money. And they're like, no, it's not about the money. You can't just make it all about the money. We got, bro, the average income out here is $40,000. We can't make it about the money. And then all of our problems tend to what? Lack of resources, lack of access to money. Then Dr. T. John Johnson's making a video about how brothers can't finish college because they don't have the proper financial support systems. I'm like, oh, because you mean their father is not making enough money to support them because they're around here talking that BGSIB more bullshit? I'm like, why don't you Negroes make the connections? It's about the fucking money. I don't know why you don't make the connections. 99% of our problems are tied back to fucking money. If we resolve that, the majority of our problems would fucking go away. They would cease to exist. And then it would just be some minor shit, like all the minor shit that you see in the white community. Yeah, white community got problems, but they don't have that problem. You see? Or at least they're starting to, because the boomers done screwed over, their grandkids and shit like that. But I'm saying for the longest time, they didn't have that problem. They didn't have that problem. They don't, not to the degree that to which we have, that problem. They haven't had that problem for so long that you can't even convince white people that they're poor when they're actually poor. You can't even convince them. They running around. Well, at least I'm not a nigger. They're running around constantly thinking that they're in a better position than black folks. I'm like, you need to go to the, go to a city. And then they go in the city, they think the city is all just a bunch of, just crime all over the place and whatnot. And then they pull up to the light and there's some black men in a S-Class Mercedes Benz. They looking at that shit like Django, like a nigga on a horse. How is this nigga in the S-Class? A nigga in the S-Class? I ain't never seen no nigga in the S-Class. Yeah, that's because you out there in them sticks. You out there in rural America with them, old ass Ford F-150 pickup trucks. You ever notice that? Like when you go out to the country, like when you go out to the more rural areas, the cars just get shittier and shittier. And the closer you get to the city, the nicer the cars get. You ever notice that? All of a sudden you start seeing Teslas on the road. Like, damn, is everybody riding around in an electric vehicle? You start seeing that shit all over the place. But I'm pretty much done with this video. I done said my piece, man. You know what I mean? Like I totally agree with Justine Jackson, and I thank her for her comment, because it needs to be said. Yeah, Kevin, that is where Kevin is fucked up. You know what I mean? Again, I got enough videos where I'm, on my soapbox jumping up and down about Kevin, mediocre tutorials, BGSIB more, and yes, even Dr. T. Hassan Johnson at times. You know what I mean? Because there's this mentality where we don't want to push for greatness as black men. There's all this, it's like they're so busy trying to defend the brothers where we're currently at that we forget to encourage the younger generations of what they need to do. Black women do the same thing. They got some of the same thing going on, when they start, like the feminists, they'll start advocating for, all, this new paradigm shift and everything else. And then, not teach the younger generation of girls, some of the things that they need to do in order to attract men. They start getting into their alternative lifestyles so much that it's like, you do realize that majority of young women, that this is not what they fantasize about. This is not their dream. You know what I mean? And so, they become selfish in narrowly trying to focus on them, that they completely ignore, or focus on themselves, that they completely ignore, the way that it should be and what they should be advocating for. It's just like my cousin, who, we got in a big argument one day. And, I was talking about, we were talking about single parent homes, and he came from a single parent home. And he was like, well, I think that people could come out of a single parent home just as well as a 2-parent home. And I'm like, dude, you're married and you have children. I'm like, you're like, in other words, he was stuck between trying to defend his upbringing because, he had a split household versus ignoring the fact that he is now in a 2-parent household. And I'm like, you're in a 2-parent household raising your kids. What are you doing? You're so busy trying to defend your own position that you're undermining yourself in the current marriage that you're in. You don't ever say a single parent home is better than a 2-parent home. Then why are you even in the household with your wife? Why don't you just disappear? Because your kids will be all right. You know what I mean? And he got all type of flustered and frustrated. I'm like, you're an idiot. How do you not see this? You're in a marriage. You're a part of you're a part of an equation. You're one side of a freaking coin. You and your wife are over here forming Voltron. What are you doing at saying that you can come out just as equally as a 2-parent? Because he was so busy trying to defend himself that he completely ignored the fact that he was undermining himself where he currently is. I'm like, oh my God, man. I mean, this is what people do. This is why shit is so retarded. But anyway, I'm going to end this video. That's my video. SWP out. Don't forget to comment, share, like, or subscribe. I'm out.